Okay, this should be it. Hello. It's a little bit awkward, so I'm not sure if more people join. I assume so, because it's 9 p.m. already, for me at least. I think I'm gonna wait a little bit longer until more people are here. I'm not sure if more people want to join, but yeah. Wait, let me put it in events chat. Everyone. There we go. Somebody put a H, but that doesn't really matter. So first of all, I'm gonna try to go over what I'm gonna talk about right now. So I'm gonna explain who I am, obviously, my future plans of my public plugins. And I will basically be going through my process, how I make my current tools for Blockworks, with an example and stuff like that. So I hope it's useful for you guys. I'm not sure. Somebody's teleporting to me. That's just great. Thanks, Stuffy. So my name's ArcaneX. I think most people here would know me. I'm not sure, but I hope so. I'm the creator of the Hit database, which was pretty much my first quote-unquote public plugin, which was decent. Then I made a schematic browser, which was a fairly simple thing. GoBrush and GoPaint, which are my public plugins at the moment. So I'm currently a developer for Blockworks, as most of you guys know. Most of likely due to my profile picture. Oh god, there's so much people here. Scary. So basically, I'm going to talk about the future plans of all my plugins right now. So first of all is Hit database. I'm currently still working on a full recode of the Hit database, which means basically my Hit database was coded very badly because it was my first plugin, and it's just horrible to look at, and it's horrible to actually look into the code, fix things and stuff, so that's the reason for the full recode. I'm also going to work together with a website that some of you might know. It has over 4,000 hits right now. I put it in events chat, by the way. And most of the time, only command block users or server owners would use that website, but I'm going to work together with that website to, first of all, create a bigger database, more support for example, suggestions of like certain hits, and obviously more advertisement for my plugins. So in theory, I would earn more money, which I then can put back into making or paying skin creators to make more skins for the database. And a way how we're gonna do the exclusive hits is basically at an event we will order, like for example for Easter, we will order from a skinner, like some hits, and it will be in the plugin first, and after the actual event it will be in the actual website. So that way other databases can't really steal the data before, like, they're... Yeah, then it doesn't really matter for the exclusivity because the event is over, so other databases won't really have advantages of it, if that makes any sense. I'm probably talking way too quickly because I'm getting no air. Okay, so that's it pretty much for Hit database. If you have any suggestions yourself, you can always PM me them or something like that. One of the biggest things that probably will happen is there will be a general GUI for the categories instead of into one GUI. Mostly because there will be more categories, and that way it will be a little bit easier for me to actually do it, because otherwise I would be limited to 9 categories. If anyone is interested in the plugin, it's $5 on Spigot. Definitely not self-promotion. But I might give away some to you guys right now. If you guys would be interested in a free copy of the hit database, if you don't have it already, just DM me your Spigot name, and I will add you to the buyers list. If you really want it. If you don't want it, you don't have to send me a DM, but it's highly recommended because, yeah, that's my hit. Thanks for finding my hit. Oh shit, I'm getting a lot of DMs now. Should have saved that for the last. So for GoBrush, basically GoBrush hasn't been updated in quite a while. Probably a lot of people are disappointed by that. I was kind of planning to update it for BuildCon, but I didn't really get to it because my wisdom teeth got pulled. So that was kind of annoying due to like the time issues and stuff. But it's definitely on the board for me that I will do it as quickly as possible because it really deserves some love, that plugin. Mostly because it's like one of the most used plugins out in the community, which is kind of free, and which I made obviously, so I've gotten some big donations from it too, so the people deserve to get some better stuff. So some of the ideas of that I will add to it is currently it's saving an internal height map, which means if you place down the brush on the ground and it's not really able to place down a block, like if it's like a tenth of a block, it saves it and it adds up every time until it becomes 1. Because that's kind of using quite a lot of RAM for your server, it's not really that efficient. So I'm probably going to use randomization. That means if it's 10% or like 0.1, it will be 10% chance to place. I will also, instead of the current mountain mode, it smooths out a little bit. What it means is it kind of smoothens out the image, which doesn't really work that well in Minecraft. But I'm gonna kind of make like a certain smooth kind of thing with the mountain mode after placing it down. So kind of like how voxel smooth works. Then, second of all, I will add pushing, because people have been requesting that for a long time, especially because it got released and then there was no like pushing down or something. Obviously better smoothing, that's definitely on the board. So kind of like voxel smoothing and stuff like that. It will also have a mask, so it will only work on certain blocks, which would be pretty cool, because like then you can kind of paint your organic, for example, and only pull out certain blocks to kind of create like, I don't know, it's kind of like ZBrush, I suppose. I think a lot of people know that program. And also to make it more cool is that I will add a 360 mode, which means like you can pretty much look at your organic or terrain or whatever and pull it towards any way you want with a custom height map. So it's kind of become more like ZBrush at some point. So that's pretty much it for GoBrush, except for the fact of like hooking into World Edit for faster placement. So it's probably going to be hooked into fast async World Edit, obviously, or just into World Edit, and then that works with fast async World Edit, which also means it will work better with the plots currently, because currently it's kind of broken with the plots unless you DM me for a custom version. So yeah. For GoPaint, I will definitely add a way to have multiple masks or something like that. Or maybe a way to like, for example, right click on the mask to allow any metadata, so you can just mask all the logs instead of just one log. It would also help with like the full bark logs and stuff. So that's something I will definitely look into. Definitely more brushes. If you have any suggestions for more brushes for GoPaint, be sure to DM me too. And we'll try to add them. some might be a little bit more difficult than other things, but yeah. A configurable angle brush, because yeah, I've kind of figured out a way to actually let you decide the angle for the brush, and definitely also rolled it for faster placement, because currently it's all like my own custom placement method, which is kind of laggy, so that's not really a good thing to have. Because currently with all my Blockworks tool, I will probably give it to everyone who DM me, and I will respond to their questions in a second after this. So with all my Blockworks tools, I'm currently hooked into fast async world edit, just because it's a lot more efficient, and all my code is just calculating asynchronically, which means it's going to be a little bit slower, but it's not going to lag out the server, which is pretty good. I'm probably going to do the same with GoBrush and GoPaint. For the schematic browser, I don't really have too much planned. Maybe a way to have personal schematics, because that would be cool. But other than that, I don't really see a thing that I can add to it. Maybe I can implement a schematic kind of placer with it, because that might be cool. Because currently schematic brushes have been quite horrible recently. I mean, I know Blockworks uses one, but we don't have a custom one either yet, so they use like a weird thingy that the command is very strange for some reason. So yeah, that's the thing. Okay, just checking the chats right now. Terrain plugins, where are they? What do you mean by that? I mean, we have a couple of custom terrain plugins over at Blockworks, but they're just for us, so yeah. I'm sorry for not sharing those plugins, obviously, but I mean, I got paid to make them, so, and somebody is shifting in my face. Thanks, Blesky. It's kind of annoying. Okay. If there's any more questions about future plans of my plugins, you can ask them right now. You can't DM me? I think you can. Or just add me as a friend and I'll accept it. That works too. Okay, just gonna click away these DMs and check it out in a minute. Okay. Can you make GoPaint that you can select a block type to be only affected only? I mean, GoPaint already has a mask, but it doesn't have multiple masks. I will be explaining about a certain brush that we have over at Blockworks in my next section. So I'm theoretically breaking my NDA, but HydraActress kindly allowed me to leak it to you guys personally. Blockworks is the building team, or yeah, build team, pretty much. It's one of the biggest build teams with the biggest budgets out there, so they're able to hire me, if that's a good way to put it. But yeah, I mean, the point is about me coding for Blockworks is it's so much fun for me because I can literally code whatever I want, and just as pretty much a hobby, and get paid for it. I mean, you guys are builders, and if you get commissions, you're kind of restricted to what you do because the client wants whatever they want. But with Blockworks, it's just they say like, we want building tools, and I just come up with crazy ideas that I will explain later on. And just make them reality. And if a builder, for example, comes to me, it's like, I want this thing, I usually create it in like a couple of hours if they really want it. So, I mean, it kind of challenges me sometimes, so that's kind of good. At least for me. Yeah. So I'm gonna go into the next part, is making tools for builders. It's actually pretty hard to make something user-friendly because everyone is used to other things. I think if you know about GoBrush and GoPaint, once you get to know them, and the UIs are usually self-explanatory if you hover over the items, and like GoBrush and GoPaint both kind of have the same menu style, I suppose. And like a database also, a database is kind of based on a website design. So like on the top you have the categories of the website, and how do I say it? And on the bottom you have the pages. I kind of would put the search function on the top, but I didn't really have place there, so yeah. So it's really hard to get or to make something that builders will actually be able to use efficiently, because with all the new Blockworks, not the Blockworks, but fast async roll-it brushes that come out every time, it's very hard to know what they actually do unless you look into the documentation and stuff. So it's very hard to create something that people will actually like to use and that it's easy to use. But I think GoBrush and GoPaint worked out pretty well. GoBrush will have a smoothing option, so that will be fine. I mean, the mountain mode is most likely going to be like a smooth kind of smoothing after you place the brush, so that way it will always be smooth. But if you want to like the spiky tips, you can still have those if you want. So the next part is from the process is like when making a tool is the idea itself. Coming up with an idea is very hard sometimes. I personally think I'm pretty good at it, but that might be just me. And you can get ideas from external 3D programs. So like you have World Painter, which pretty much inspired GoBrush. GoPaint was inspired by, for example, Photoshop with the bucket and stuff. The updated GoBrush and GoPaint versions for the future versions will be updated soon. They're on my Planet Minecraft account and on my Spigot account. If you want, I can link my Spigot account. But GoBrush and GoPaint haven't been updated in a while, so they might not work too well on, for example, plot servers. Here's my plugins. Oh wait, I put it in the wrong chat. Damn it. Here. Shouldn't have put it in Q&A. So my suggestion is, if you have an idea, usually ideas are very valuable. Mostly for me at Blockworks, it's just something that I can just work on for quite a long time and just like, I don't know, have something to do pretty much. So coming up with ideas is very important for what I do right now. Like for example in Cinema 4D you have a lot of tools that like you kind of have the CS rotate, which is basically like the not sure what it's called in Cinema 4D anymore. I think it's Luth or whatever. Blender has a lot of tools that you could possibly translate into Minecraft. World Machine is pretty much a world generator. There's a lot of world generators on Spigot, which you can probably buy even. So it's pretty much the same thing if you would make one to generate terrain for your builds or whatever. That's definitely possible. Roll Painter is a direct reference to GoBrush. It's pretty much the same thing, I suppose. But in-game, which is when Fawi is for free, you can just get it on Spigot. It's completely free to download. And us, Xenaloix, a Spigot plugin, you can just run it locally. The only thing you need to do is either download it from a dodgy website or compile it yourself. Yeah, Fawi isn't me. It's fast async roll-it, made by Empire92. If you want, I can link it, or Dort can, probably. Might be a little bit easier. I mean, and the other thing you can get from ideas is, for example, if you just look up random math stuff on Google and stuff. For example, you have icospheres. Wait, let me just send you an image. In events. There it is. So, like, icospheres are pretty much spheres made out of triangles. So this is a thing that inspired me to make a certain brush that probably a lot of people know about because Arius leaks those things. So basically what an icosphere is, you can pretty much make it look more like a circle the more triangles you add. So on each line of like the top one, that's like the basic variant, and you can add a new point from the same distance from the middle on the middle of each line, and then connect those lines to get another triangle. And that way it's going to be becoming more and more like a circle, which is pretty nice. So if you have a pretty high resolution one, they will start looking like this. And one of the things that I really liked about it was the fact that it was like a point-based sphere. That way, there's currently already terrain generators out there, and the logic that they have is you have multiple points, you get the average of those multiple points, and then you either increase it or decrease it, and that kind of makes realistic terrain. One of the algorithms that's used for that is the diamond square algorithm. Let me just Google that. Rhythm. Probably mistyped that, but either way, here it is. It's basically, I kind of inspired a little bit by that to generate like height maps, right? And the way how I did it is, so first I'm going to show you what I can do with it. I'm pretty sure all of you guys know the work brush from Blockworks, because people like to leak it. And you can pretty much randomly generate rocks with it. So the idea behind it is I randomly place the first points of the icosphere from a distance from the middle, so you kind of get a weird shape. And then I just make more triangles between those points and get the average point and add a little bit higher or a little bit lower. And that way you can kind of get smooth rocks of kind of random shapes, I suppose. And I mean, it's just a combination of tools that could be made, and I just made it into a new tool. And it's so much fun to make, because these kind of shapes look a lot more, how do I explain it? Organically for terrain, or, for example, you can use it for leaves for a tree. It doesn't look like actual spheres in builds. Because when I just look... Hello, Kevzaris throwing snowballs randomly. Bye. So the spheres that you currently see with a lot of builds is from Voxel Sniper. You don't really have it with GoPro and stuff, so that's kind of nice. But you see, like, a lot of builds, you kind of see, like, the round, really round shapes. And with my brush, you don't really have that, because it's a more natural shape. And you can literally just, like, put down boulders and stuff on the ground randomly. So that's a lot of fun to do. I also have a way to, like, make them smaller and higher in some dimensions, which can get you the results to, for example, Kilorax post. If you haven't seen it already, just click on it and you'll see it. It's pretty much just a couple of modifiers, and you can get those shapes very quickly. Yeah, some pretty cool stuff that you can do with it. I mean, it's just really nice to have, like, I don't know. I'm really proud of this kind of brush. Mostly because it's such a unique thing that nobody else has ever thought of, in my opinion. And, yeah. So that's nice. Okay, next thing. Oh, I probably skipped a lot of things because I was talking about the rug brush thingy. But the rug brush idea basically came off the world height maps generation and icospheres combined. I think there's rug brush rug generators out there online, but I pretty much came up with the idea how to do it myself. So that comes to the next bit, is the logics, how you actually make it, or how you will make it. Is instead of like just randomly starting to code, you kind of have to come up with a mathematical solution to your issue. Like with icospheres, you can split it up into one triangle into four triangles, which makes it three new triangles, obviously. And that point can be offset with a random amount. And the more you add triangles, the less influence you want it to have, because otherwise you will probably have some spikes on the rocks. So that's not too realistic. And for example, like the logics behind which plugin, I don't know. It's not much logics. Maybe about GoBrush is like just with height maps, it's logic. You just have to know the pixel value of like the blackness and the whiteness, and then you can just place blocks down. I mean, that part is not too difficult to make. There's been a lot more complicated plugins out there that I've made that are currently for Blockworks. For the coding part, it's just Java knowledge that you need to have. There's not much to it. I mean, there's just a couple of things that you have to keep in mind. If you don't want to lag the server out, you should hook it into the fast async related API. If needed, I can supply a code example in the future if somebody is wondering. And the helpful thing about it is then you can use masks or gmasks if you really want to for any tool that you make. And just like FAO itself, it also allows you to like get the selection of what the player has, so you can kind of use that too. It's also very good for efficiency because you don't want the server to lag if a lot of people uses it at the same time. And another thing is to make it on an async task, which means it's not how do I explain this? So on the server, it uses one core, right, of your CPU, and it's constantly running all the ticks and stuff. But if you're gonna put a task in it, which is quite mathematical heavy, it's gonna slow down the server. But if you put it on an async task, it's gonna make a new kind of thing and run alongside the server, so it's not gonna lag out at all. But you can't do actual block placement in asynchronously unless you use the fast async related API. Yeah. Also, a thing about making your own plugins is testing. It can be quite dangerous. I've posted like quite a couple of things already on Twitter before with like disasters of my plugin. And yeah, just have your own test server for sure, because otherwise you might crash your public server or whatever you're putting it on. Also a thing you have to keep in mind, if you want builders to use your plugins, yeah, I have to make sure it's very well documented. Because otherwise, yeah, people will not know how to use it. So that's kind of tricky. And also show or like explain to the people how they are better than current already existing tools. And that way you can build quicker. There's a couple of tools on Blockworks that really speed up some of the building flow of Minecraft. Because like, there's a couple of things in Minecraft with Minecraft builders is with like sort of curvy stuff. It's very difficult to do without specific plugins. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people just spam the beeline command that they really like to do. But usually that doesn't really work that well. But yeah. I'll also be having a giveaway. So if you're in this channel, you might be in luck, who knows. So the giveaway will be pretty much my time, I suppose. So whoever wins will be allowed to tell me whatever they want, except for the thing that I just explained, the workboard at least, to just make something for them as like a private plugin. So like, yeah, if you want something, they can also save or tell me to release it publicly. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, if they have a really good idea, it might become public, or they might, I mean, it's up to them if they really want to. But as long as it doesn't take me literal weeks to make it, I'm fine with making it. But yeah. It's pretty much like a free commission, I suppose, of me. So yeah. I'm not sure how I'm going to do the giveaway, though, because that's kind of tricky. A cake plugin, that could work out well. Okay, let me... Well, actually, I'll do it at the end of the panel. It might be a little bit easier. Or just tweet at me something that could work too. I think that would work the best. If you tweet something at me, like at Arcaniacs, like enter giveaway or something, then you'll be entered, and then I can have a random person win it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it right now for my panel. If you have any questions, go ahead and I'll try to answer them. Live coding demo. Well, I mean, the thing is, right, I only have 30 minutes left. But like, I'm not gonna be able to make something well in 30 minutes, so yeah, just tweet me on Twitter, just at me with a tag, and I'll pick a random one. So that works. If I wait, how much do I charge per plugin template? Well, it really depends, right? I mean, like how big the plugin is, how complicated it is to code, how much I actually have to do myself logically, and like how much I have to figure out myself. So it really depends. But yeah, you get to don't know it. That's not. I've never agreed to that, Burrito. So yeah. Any other questions? A person new to coding, I would first... Well, if you want to learn Java itself, then I would say to just start with the basics of Java. I mean, there's a lot of YouTube tutorials out there and stuff like that. Although some might not be too perfect. But, yeah. I think Code Academy is decent if you want to learn the basics. Code Academy. I think it was this one. If you just want to start learning coding. I mean... a mistake of making a plugin. I mean, the amount of bugs that I've been creating in plugins, or like things that don't make it work at all, it's quite tricky. Because like you have to test it on your server, and most of the time I just add like messages in below with like the data inside of variables, just to know what's actually going on within the code. Because usually, if something works like from the first time, it usually doesn't work, or you're just very lucky. I mean, or something is very wrong, but it's working in the end. How often do you share your progress with people? Well, I mean, I'm not really... Yeah, true, Dart. What really said? Basically, usually, because I'm really happy with making stuff, I usually just post it in the Blockworks Discord, because I'm just happy that I made something, and I want to kind of show it off to people. And the thing is, I can't really show it off on my Twitter, because it's under NDA, obviously. So, I know a lot of people wouldn't care it's under NDA, but yeah, it's just showing to the people who are actually allowed to use it, and usually they seem to be very happy about it. Like one of the tools I made, literally CG, like CG Rainbolt. I'm not sure if you guys know him. Like he's literally said one of the tools that I made is like an early Christmas present from me. It was like he was so happy about it. It literally just made my day. I mean, how often I share it with the team, whenever I'm literally getting results that actually look okay, then I feel okay with sharing it to the thingy. The giveaway, just tweet me at ArcaneX on Twitter if you want to, and just put like, I want to enter the giveaway, and I'll pick a random one. To be fair, people that know about the image plugin, right? I know that a lot of people know that I made one. Yeah, I will make a small plugin for someone. But like about the image thing, it's basically just a simpler version than using like, for example, Spritecraft and stuff. Yeah. The giveaways for a small plugin, yep. How many custom tools does Blockworks have? I actually don't know. I literally have been coding for over 150 hours for Blockworks so far. So I feel like the amount of things that I made is pretty decent for the amount of time. No image giveaways. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure, wait, doesn't Block Refuge have like an image importer too? So I don't really see the point just going Blockworks Refuge. Wait, let me accept these friend requests. Okay. So much things to look at. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not really a fan of binvoxing Super, but there's tools out there that already do that, and they just give you a schematic, so in theory, you can already do it yourself. Although it might be a little bit tricky to use the tools, but I'm definitely not planning to make a converter for OBGs to Minecraft blocks. Who's hooking me with a fishing rod? Thanks, people. Whoever is doing that. It's a little bit annoying. I've been only coding for a year and a half, pretty much. Pretty much started with my head database, and literally that plugin was a big success. Because a lot of build teams have it now. Diddy Skywalker, I also have coded the GoBrush, GoPaint, a database, and schematic browser, which are publicly available. So, yeah. So I don't only code for Blockworks, in theory. So also for the community itself. You think there is a way to render a specific part of your skin in a server like some... That's a very complicated question. I did make a sick plugin to make the custom rocks, but that's for Blockworks only. I just use it as an idea, or like a concept to an actual plugin for this panel. Mostly because it has been leaked by Arias quite a couple of times and by other members. Not really leaked, but like shown off. I feel like I will probably just update the things that I have right now and just make them a lot more advanced. For example, with GoBrush, like a 360 mode will be pretty cool. I already have ideas how to do it, so that's gonna be fun. I did code a little bit outside of Minecraft, but that was mostly for school, and I don't really have use for it. And I really like with Minecraft, with plugins, that you have pretty much instant results whenever you code something. So you don't actually have to code like an entire thing and hope it works to get like just a screen to pop up. You could learn to code at Code Academy. Already posted that link before, I think. Any more questions? And if you just want to learn how to code, it's just like the motivation behind it. And if you're really good at like solving issues with your mind, and yeah, then you should be alright at it. You don't actually have to be that great at maths. The most challenging plugin you've had to make. The most challenging. I mean, from public plugins, it would probably be a database because I just started coding and it was just so much work that it was quite overwhelming. Although I did make it within like a week and then I just kept updating it. Do you think YouTube tutorials are variable to learning Bucket coding in general? Maybe. Usually they're not really that great at actually explaining the things. They're most likely to just like actually type it and you probably just copy it so you don't actually learn too much from it. So I mean, it's mostly gonna be like just you doing the coding yourself and learning from that. What's the simplest plugin you had the biggest impact? I think like that I made myself, or I think like GoBrush had the biggest impact, mostly because it's free, but Head Database has been quite a success, although I mean GoBrush in theory, it's not like rolled it in any way, it's a really tiny plugin actually, so in theory I think that one has had the biggest impact, mostly because Hypixel uses it. Like CubeCraft uses it, so it really speeds up the building for every builder that really needs to pump out maps very quickly. For example, a thing you can do with GoBrush is just make a mountain, turn it upside down, and you pretty much have a floating island. Or somebody else in Go Creative that I used to see is like a very tiny mountain that they just pull up and they just like change it to wool, and you pretty much have a tippy hut or something like that. Do you have any plans for other plugins that are totally not building related? Not for the public at least, right now. But, I don't know. I mean, if the person that wins, I don't know. It's really weird that, I don't know, I'm just very happy to create generators because they're just so much fun to make, and like you instantly get like 3D result in voxels, which is pretty cool. I'm already in college network or university, whatever you guys call it, doesn't really matter. But I'm gonna switch courses soon though, because I'm currently multimedia technology, but there's too much audio and video stuff. But I literally went there for 3D modeling and yeah, for the giveaways, just tweeting at me. But there's not, I literally went there for 3D modeling and developing, but there's not too much of either of those. It's more like audio video stuff, which is kind of annoying, so I'm probably gonna look for better college to study at. It's kind of a shame because it's the second year already, and I kind of quit the second year, so now I have pretty much the rest of the time until the summer vacation for doing stuff, which is kind of nice. So I can create some more Blockworks stuff and earn money at the same time to save up a little bit for the future. Now that I can still do it without actually having a job and just being at home. Any other questions? Well, I don't really work for Ava anymore. I mean, I still have the developer rank. So, yeah. I mean, Builder's Refuge might be cool in the future too. If some of the plugins might go on there. Because if you've been following Builder's Refuge, they have tweeted something with the Blockworks logo. Will you team up with Empire 92 to make Fawe even better? I'm not planning to really work in Fawe, but I will use it, and I know Empire himself. But me and Empire will probably create some stuff together at some point. What plugin was the most fun to make? I think the rug brush is one of the most the most fun to make. Mostly because it had such an impact when I didn't really think it would have such an impact. Because Arias really likes it, and it's just like a really cool thing to have. Mostly because it removes the unrealistic terrain of Where did you learn to create things such as Go Paint and Go Brush? I didn't learn it anywhere, to be fair. I just did it. It kind of sounds weird, but yeah. Well, I made Go Brush before Fawe had their height brush. Although Go Brush, how do I explain this? I mean, Go Brush in the future, if I update it, will have a 360 mode, so it will be a lot different than Fawe can do, hopefully. What do you mean out of boxing? I'm not sure what you mean by out of boxing. I've never heard of that before. Okay, fair enough. Any other relative or questions that I can answer? The 360 mode is basically if you would have a 3D modeling program. I'm not sure if you know ZBrush, but ZBrush basically is you get a sphere and you pull out stuff with custom shapes in any direction. I kind of want to do that based on the direction you're looking at. So not only upwards in like the Y direction, but in any direction based on how you look. So that's going to be very interesting. But we'll also include a smoothing mode, a pushing and pulling mode with custom height maps. So that will be, obviously it's an update to GoBrush, so it will be public once I release it. Give me a second, I'm gonna drink something because my voice is getting quite dry. ETA, I don't have an ETA for it because otherwise people will say or complain that it's not done yet. But I'm gonna say soon. I'm first gonna, for the public things I will do is I'm first gonna make my head database work with the full recode, and yeah, and then I will move on to GoBrush. Do you have a dream plugin to make like something that you really want to code? I do have something in mind, but it's probably gonna upset a lot of you guys. Is some sort of AI, well, not really an AI, but a tool that learns from builders how how to build and then just create buildings themselves. But that seems quite impossible, to me at least. But in theory, it should be possible, but it would be very complicated to do. I mean, it would probably have to have some sort of human filter anyhow to actually see that it's actually built decent and like give feedback to the actual learning machine. In theory, yeah, I could create my own build team bot, I suppose. Bot builds. There we go. But yeah, I mean that might seem fictional. Yeah. Block bots. And I don't really plan on renaming the Go Brush and the Go Paint just because the names are just too great right now, and they just sound really good. But it's most likely just going to be like Voxel Painter, Voxel Sniper, I mean, because Voxel Box is pretty much that right now. Like nothing. I don't know. What's the biggest donation you ever got on a plugin? The biggest donation was from CubeCraft, actually. It was a $300 donation for GoBrush, which allowed me to buy a new phone for Pokemon Go. So that actually relates to the next thing Unaware said, which is kind of weird. But that was like back in the summer when I actually created GoBrush. What kind of thought process when you decide new block tools? I mean, I kind of went through it in my panel, but like you just have to get the idea first, and then you kind of have to go through the logics of actually creating it. Yeah. Do you think there will be ever a time that when we convert Java Minecraft to C++? I mean, the Windows 10 version is on C# or C++. I'm not fully sure. But I feel like eventually everyone will move over. Mostly because Java is not really that efficient. And yeah. But I will like learn C++ in the end, so it shouldn't be too much difficult to convert it. How do I meet build teams that might get me in? I don't know. Just talk to the creators of the build teams, and I don't know. And what Brambus showed, it's just an image tool. I mean, image tools are not that impressive to make, to be fair. There's a lot of things you can do with image tools, but there's a lot of potential that you can actually use with a color API, which I have, to actually, do something with it. Well, just Google how to make a plugin for a Spigot, and then you're done. Yeah, Image is a Blockworks only plugin, but it's very easily to recreate. The only issue is that you actually need to get the average color of every block. And that's just... Well, it's hooked into the entire Blockworks plugin, so yeah. I haven't used Python myself. A world map converter in game. So basically importing a height map. Pretty sure Ari's already spoiled that on Twitter, if you follow him. So we do have one of those already. Or you can just go to MC Painter or whatever that is. Oh no, that's... Oh. I think that's image converter thing. Yeah, seems like it. We're simpies. But I mean, Sprycraft works the best. for if you don't have it, to be fair. I will be giving away a small coded plugin by me, and you can either choose to release it publicly or have it privately for yourself. So if you tweet it at me, then yeah. I've made far more impressive things over at Blockworks, but sadly I can't really share them to you guys, so yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of NDA stuff going on. But just be happy I got to explain the rug brush. I mean, if you guys want to recode it yourself and have it yourself, the rug brush, good luck, because it was quite tricky to make. Yeah, I had quite some issues with it when making it, but I won't really explain them. But if you want to make it, you have to experience the issues yourself. NDA means non-disclosure agreement. It's basically a contract. Yeah, you have to sign. And if you leak stuff, you can get sued for it. So yeah. That's always fun, right? No, because we allowed him to actually post those things. Yeah, I suppose it's nearly impossible to enforce an NDA, but it's still like, more like, how do I explain it? Like a trust kind of agreement, yeah. I mean, if you're breaking NDA, it's you're literally an asshole. So, I do use Eclipse, Bidoof, so. Who inspired you to start coding? Nobody, actually. The reason I started actually coding, especially with the hit database, is because I have the Plat Minecraft account with a huge blog on it, which has over 1 million views, which is just insane. And that's the reason why I started to make the database, because there wasn't really a decent way to get like the URL hits as a plugin or like in game easily with like a command. Without being OP. So like, I was like, why are people not using URL hits? So that's really the reason why I really started coding a lot more. Because I'm not used to IntelliJ, I might use it in the future, who knows. But I'm just used to Eclipse when I started coding. If you want to enter the giveaway, just at ArcaneXme on Twitter. And then, yeah. Do you build as well as, or I only make building tools? I did build a little bit before, but I'm not really the greatest builder. So, yeah. I mean, I might build in the future, but mostly only with my tools. So, if I would build in the future, just take a look at my creations and try to figure out what I used. That's a big tip, I suppose. And there's 2 minutes left. I really didn't think I would be able to make it, but apparently I did. And I think I'm still recording, so that's great. Yay. Yay for ArcaneX. Any more questions that I can answer in the last minute? If I consider this as a job, thing is, right? I mean, I'm currently already having a job at Blockworks, which is pretty much freelancing, so I get paid by the hour. So, in theory, I would consider it as a job right now, although I can pretty much make whatever I want, which is kind of cool. But I do consider having a job later as a developer. The recording is I'm currently recording it so we can put it on YouTube later. Or something like that. Or Fallen Archangel is recording it too. That works too. Anyone stolen my code? My hit database has been leaked recently, which is kind of a shame. And they kind of cracked the code, as you call them, because they removed their user ID from the code. So it's kind of annoying, I suppose, but there's not much you can do about leaked plugins on Spigot anyway, so... It's also a reason why I don't really want to sell any building tools, or not too many building tools on Spigot, because they'll probably get leaked. And I can't really charge too much, because the community usually either doesn't want to pay as much, or, yeah, or it won't really sell as well. Yeah, I mean, the hit database worked well for me, mostly because it was kind of survival friendly, because it has a shop system. Yeah, wait. True. I suppose it was mostly luck with my hit database. But I feel like, yeah, I mean, I continuously add heads to it, and with the new website collaboration that I will do, will make, like, have the plugin a lot more hits and stuff. Together with the website, because I'm currently, like, syncing up all the hits. The time is theoretically up, but I can still talk a little bit if you guys want. If you have any important questions, I can still answer them. I can't talk about the Blockworks plugin features, which aren't public at least. I do like milk. Milk is nice. I actually used to be allergic to milk, so yeah, I got over it. And if you want to take a selfie, just come to the selfie train to have a huge selfie, and I'll post it on Twitter. I'm not a great builder, to be fair. I'm horrible at building, to be accepted. Maybe because you don't post good stuff on Network. And about, okay, it really depends how good the coder is. Just go to the selfie terrain on the server. No, but like, I mean, Blockworks pays me quite well, mostly because I can create, like, really good stuff very quickly. And if a member wants something, they can get it quite quickly. I'm not sure if it's NDA, but I do get paid quite well. More than, I mean, it's less than the average Java developer, I suppose, because the average Java developer gets like $70 an hour, which is quite insane. But like, I feel like most other servers, or like the biggest servers, usually play like about 15 an hour or so. So it really depends. A bit of like Builder Surfer G has my plugins, and a lot of other servers has my hit database, so yeah. And if you want to commission me, you can always send me a DM, and I might be able to do something for you. If you have a great idea. What server? Builder's Refugee. I mean, 38k PNG chunky render of my friend's map getting paid. That's quite a lot. So, who's going to be at my selfie, thing? I don't know. Okay. Not sure if it's worth posting a picture of this on Twitter, but sure. And then people fly in randomly. Or jump right in front of me. Which is always nice to actually take a picture. I'm just gonna fly up a little bit. There we go. So, thanks for coming to my panel. I'm actually surprised I could talk for that long. So yeah. Who won the giveaway? Let's see. Let me pick a random person. First, I gotta see how much actually joined. So be sure to @ArcaneXme with something. I suppose Bram wants to enter too. But then Bram enters twice. Because that wouldn't be fair. Okay. Let me just randomize. Random.arc. Generates 11. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Not sure who this person is. But okay. So Alex de Grote won. So yeah, wait. I might be here next year. Who knows? Wait, is Alex still in here? Yeah, he is. I'll DM him. You won. There we go. So, if you have an idea, or just come up with an idea to, you didn't have to DM me on Twitter. Just @ me at Arcaniacs if you post something. But yeah, if you get an idea, just DM me the idea and I'll try to make it. And you decide if it's public or not, so maybe the people in here can convince you to actually publicly release it. Yeah. I'm not sure if it will be open source because code will probably be quite bad. I was giving... Oh wait, he doesn't... I know it improves the whole ecosystem, but I feel ashamed of my code sometimes. That's the biggest issue. Well, if you looked at the database code, it's messy as fuck, yeah. So I'm happy you guys could all join me for this panel, and hopefully, no problem, guys. I'm glad I survived this, so currently gonna shut off the Audacity, so bye whoever is watching this on YouTube.